You know, it only took a moment for me to be trapped within the memories I'm sure he'd revisit. It's a truth I wanted to tell, but I knew he never meant to. He wrote me into a chapter of his story while folding the pages of my entire book. With a permanent marker, each sentence of him bled into every subject, and no eraser took. I carried him into a multitude of my tomorrows, because not a single yesterday could support the fall of the man realizing the fingerprints of another left deeper impressions after all. He still hurt as he did on that day when that man used his hand to molest a boy's innocence away. I learned to forgive him, even though I never heard him ask. They lied when they said that freedom was in the letting go of the comfort found in the grudge I'd often bear. Though forgiving was trying, it was far from the most difficult task, which was dealing with the pain and smile and desperately attempt to laugh. It's okay to forgive him too, God, because all men need to be redeemed. Even the man who birthed a voice within me and still failed to hear me. From the inside. When the pressure meant to break a boy's heart was applied, they said, pick up the pieces, Jeremy. Yeah, I tried. But the pieces that are scattered inside does not come with the guide, at least one that instructs a man with a heart where a broken boy still abides. Pick up the pieces, Jeremy. I told you, I tried, but each piece is sharpened because deep on the side where hurt and healing collide. Besides, society doesn't offer man the space to break. They rather see him break others while the pieces of him his trauma would often penetrate. But who were they to create a prison built by toxic masculinity that imprisons every man that dares give voice to the trauma their hearts just couldn't take? But every never cried tear has weight as it dreams to escape the eye gate that held him for decades as an inmate. Freedom wasn't in forgiving him. It was addressing the severity of the wound he inflicted. Freedom was gathering all the words I hoarded in the home of my heart that left me addicted to punishing myself by the good relationships I evicted. You see, the magnitude of the pain that man left was mentally encrypted, sending a warning that men could only be to me when my molester depicted. But how twisted to be molested repeatedly by the memories of a single moment that remained revisited. I insisted. If my spoken revelation leads to further unspoken humiliation, I'll learn to deal with emotional constipation to appease a world that rejects a man's emotional regurgitation. Because they say, chew it. Jeremy, just chew it. And then swallow. And no one will know the spiritual indigestion that follows. The weight of every tear is like a sentence traveling along the face of the driest desert, hoping to be read before it disappears. Because who knows, it may take years before another volunteers to be the voice of a pain that is bursting at my spiritual seams, all because I listened to a world that learned to ignore the sound of a man's scream. From the outside too. Yes, stuff happens and maybe it's supposed to assist in defining you. Resilience has become my favorite word, but it does not eclipse the word of God that tells me he sees through this warrior's facade. You see, when I finally brought my pain to his throne, my scream, it took on a different tone. I no longer had to be the harvest from the seeds another man had sown. And I made this known. I am no longer your prey. Sometimes the worst part about being victimized is renewing the part of your mind that still believes you are a victim today. Addressing the boy stuck, conveying the decaying heart even my offspring were displaying. And forgiveness was not me betraying, but I tired of obeying those thoughts of another man's faults that says I'm to always be replaying. He quieted once he heard me say, but if I truly believe God forgives all sins, then even our molesters must be tossed away. You see, the weight of every tear I cried privately, I didn't have to carry alone. See, all that trauma God had already known. and how it works for my good, he has now sown. Because I can stand here today and I can convey in my own poetic way that I have been made free. And I look forward to sharing in heaven, even if it's with the man who once molested me. Maybe there's freedom. Maybe that's healing. And to some of you, that's somewhat extreme. But by his grace, for once in my life, I don't feel the need to scream.